Hey guys, Chris, Ironhead Garage. Now, been working on the 55 a little bit. Got a few more parts to put on her, a little more tweaking. But I got a couple stickers from these two guys. They got their new YouTube channel going. It's called Gasserworks. Yeah, sent me a couple stickers, pretty cool. Thanks a lot, guys. And they got a 55. They're gonna build into a gasser. They got a killer rat rod that they built, fabricated everything on it. Made a big old long trip to a hot rod show they took. Pretty cool. So we're gonna stick these on the old sander of fame. We'll stick one on anyway. If I could do this. We'll put you guys right there. Running out of room. There you go. Now you guys are on the sander of fame, Gasserworks. Check them out. Pretty funny guys. Real hot rod builders. I don't think they're sensitive or anything like that, so tell them what you want. That's the point. Don't be so sensitive. Some guys are just too damn sensitive. It ain't worth it. Life is too short. We're all gearheads. We all just need to get along. So 55, I bought a gas gauge off of eBay. Guy said it was tested. It was original gas gauge. That guy right there. Yeah, ever since I put it in, put power to it, it says half. Well, had a full tank. It don't move, so it don't work. So I got a brand new 55 BELAIR gas gauge, if you can see that. So it's a newer style one. It's got the green markings on it. So I'm going to install that. And hopefully the gas gauge will work. You gotta drop this column down. Gotta take this trim ring off of here, and there's a couple bolts in behind there, and drop this column down about an inch. So you can get this cluster out of here and not scratch that. Then I'll change that gas gauge. And if you guys remember, I had got an old Stewart Warner pack of gauges. Well, it's got an amp gauge right there. Yeah, so I didn't want to run that amp gauge. So I got me a vintage Stewart Warner volt gauge. Check that out. Yeah, they're hard to find, but that's going to be way better. So I'm going to hook that up. It's going to be way better in there. Pretty easy to hook up. I'm just going to jump a power wire off of my oil pressure gauge. And I got the ground already. And these ones are from the 60s. See, they have a slot back in there. They don't have the light socket that go on the back. And on these gauges, they have the lights that pop right in the back of here. And they have little windows. And then the light transmits into the gauges and lights them up. So that's going to be cool. I'm going to get that hooked up too. So hopefully the gauge will work. And hopefully that new gas gauge will work. That'll be sweet. Don't want to be pushing this old girl to the gas station. She's too heavy with that big block in there. So I'm going to get that column taken apart. Get that cluster out. Get that new gas gauge in there. Got to skip these ads on here. Skip. There we go. Back to the gassers. Got the lava lamp warming up for Jaws. There you go, buddy. Hope all is well. Oh yeah, 67 Camaro. I'll be back. Alright, well we got the clamp off of here. Took the trim ring off and got a couple half-inch bolts that go on here. Took them off. And then up into there, into that bezel, if you can see. There it is. There's a couple little button head Allen screws. Those aren't stock. Those are the ones I put in there. New ones. So I'll take those out. Then a couple screws there. Then I'll put a piece of tape on here just in case. But you can see with that clamp off of there, the column drops down enough so you can get that bezel out of there. Alright, we'll get some more bolts undone. Alright, I got the gauge cluster out. Just had to unhook the speedo cable, push it through the firewall a little bit, and unscrew that, and the cluster came out sitting here. So I was looking on the back of the sender unit. I have these labeled 12 volt, and then fuel sender unit on this one, and it's on the right side. So the sender unit wire is right. So I got my voltage gauge sitting there, and I turned the key on. Grab this guy, I was making sure I had power to that positive ignition on the gauge. Yep, almost 12 volts. So I'm getting power there. So the wiring's good. It must be that gas gauge. So on this one, it has an S on the right hand side. So I got that hooked up right, and I believe that has an S. It was stamped there or something. So I'm going to pull these little nuts off of here, take this wiring off, and pull these little flat blade screws out and pop this out and get that new one in there. See if it works. Alright. Alright, well, I got the gauge in there, and I hit the key. I should have filmed it. I had the gauge on empty, because you can push it real easy over the empty, and I went and hit the power switch and turned the key on, and it went up halfway and bounced a little bit, and then went almost to 3/4, and that's about how much gas I should have in it. I filled it up, and then I drove I don't know, a few miles in it since I've had it running. So that's killer. Got the gas gauge working now. So I just got to put this all together now, tighten it all back up. Got the speedo cable hooked back up on the cluster. And I think in the winter time, I'll drain all the gas. The gas tank has got a plug in it, and I'll drain it all out. This is what I did in the beginning. I wanted to put 5 gallons of gas in it and see what the gauge read. So if it's on a quart or whatever, then I'll know I got 5 gallons of gas, you know, to try to make sure how accurate it is. So at least you got about 5 gallons of gas. You better be going to the gas station, because this old big block, you know, she's thirsty with that big old Holly on there. So I'm gonna get this cluster all screwed back tight, get this column back up in there, and then probably work on that gauge. Yeah, too bad I couldn't send this back. I gotta pay 50 bucks for this. Yeah, maybe we'll get a hold of that guy on eBay, tell him his gauge is no good. Alright, I'll get this all bolted back up. Alright, got the cluster all bolted back in. Got the trim ring on. So that part's all done. Steering column's all tight. So that's killer to have a working gas gauge. And the gauges, I did get this old amp gauge out of there. It's still good if someone would need an old amp gauge, but they're kind of obsolete now. So I got this guy all cleaned up. Got the terminals all cleaned on it. And I do have a ground wire right there that I made when I made the gauge harness. So I believe off the, not the oil pressure, I said oil pressure, hot wire before. I meant the water temperature. So I'll jump a hot wire from the water temperature, because this is an electronic one. You got to have a power wire going to it. So I'll jump a wire off of the temperature gauge to the volt gauge. So I'm going to make that wire, I'm going to bolt this gauge up, and then I'll turn the key on and see if that baby reads or not. Hopefully it works. Yeah, you know about them eBay buys. You just never know. It's a gamble. But I've bought a lot of good stuff off of eBay before. Most everything on this car I did. Alright, well, let me make me a jumper wire and get that baby bolted in there. Oh, screaming 55. Oh, Willie's. Hey, Brent, now that lava lamp's cooking for you. Yep, she's nice and warmed up now. So, been over here making this power jumper wire. It's a little fat, but it's from that auto wire kit. And it's got that non-burnable jacket, and that's what we want. Man, this little soldering tool I made, too cool. Just holds it there for you. So I got the shrink wrap on this end. I just got this end soldered up. So I'm going to heat this up and hook that gauge up. Alright. Alright, well I got that jumper wire hooked up to the volt gauge. Let's see if she works. Oh yeah, look at that. 12.5 volts, 12.6 probably. So that's killer. Now I can make sure the car's charging. So that's good. Working volt gauge. And we got a working gas gauge now. So that's killer to have. Both of them working. Oh, and check it out guys, what I got for the 55. Anybody tell me what that is? Yeah, it's an old one. It's a pull out too. So I'll be putting that in the car somewhere, keeping it old school all the way the best I can. So it's raining again this weekend, never fails. Couple weeks here, there's a big car show. It's called Lost in the 50s. It's in Sandpoint, Idaho. Bunch of Canadians come, so it's gonna be super cool. We're gonna try to get the 55 down there for our first show. Let the guys check it out, see what they think. So we'll let the weather get a little better again, maybe next week. Go check out Gasserworks. Yeah, pretty funny guys, pretty cool. Alright guys, I appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time. Take care.